The very first thing you need to have if you're trying to build your LLC business credit score is to have a strategy. I mean, you can't really just sit around and just think about these things randomly. You need to have a strategy whereby you follow a complete, like a foolproof process that will lead you to build your LLC business credit score. Okay. So let me give you an overview here. One thing we need to, let's just go back to, let's say, business credit score 101 for your LLC. What is your LLC business credit score? I mean, we all know that on the personal side, your personal credit score goes from 300 to 850. That we understand that it's really established. So similarly to your personal credit score, your LLC will need to have a numerical representation or an evaluation whereby prospective lenders, prospective net 30 vendors, prospective insurance companies will have a way to rate your LLC. The only thing is that there is a layer of difficulty when it comes to LLCs, because LLCs are organized at the state level, which means that there is no sort of federal regulation covering the LLC. So which means that your business and the business credit reporting agencies, Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax Business, and Experian Business, they have to abide by your very state's regulations. So there are certain things they can't do. There are certain things they cannot report in your business credit report. Okay, so your business, when we talk about business credit score, it depends on what kind of a credit reporting agency you're talking about. By the way, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. I love having this kind of conversations with you every now and then. So when we talk about your LLC business credit score, we talk about PATRIKIOS. So PATRIKIOS is really produced by Dun & Bradstreet. So PATRIKIOS ranges from 0 to 100, or let's say 1 to 100, and 100 is the perfect score. And typically a score of say 50 to 79 is considered medium risk, while 80 and above denotes a low credit score for your LLC. For IntelliScore Plus, this is a score that is produced by Experian. So this also runs from 1 to 100, and medium credit risk is associated with a score of 26 to 50, with the lowest risk scores over 75. And then you have the Equifax scores. So Equifax produces a number of scores, each based on your business's credit report and your LLC business credit report, and used for a specific purpose. So for an LLC, in its database, you may have a variety of delinquency and failure scores. Very important to remember that. And you also have a fourth score called the FICO SBSS. So this is produced by FICO. The Liquid Credit Small Business Scoring Service, also known as SBSS, ranges from 0 to 300. Okay. And so this score is frequently referenced when underwriting small business administration guaranteed loans. Now, let me give you a few pro tips here. So why does your LLC business credit score really matter? Because you're trying to build your LLC business credit score is important. Okay, so your LLC business credit history may be secondary to your own if you're not operating a large company, that's for sure. However, if you're trying to do things right, if you're trying to get EIN only loans for your LLC, EIN only, business lines of credit, business credit cards, and other forms of financing arrangements for your business, you need to solidify, you need to have a sturdy foundation for your LLC when it comes to business credit. Okay. And so, by the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's conversation. What are we talking about here? We are speaking about how to build your LLC business credit score. Okay. And so it's important to understand that if you want to pay attention to your business credit score, you need to know that other players are also paying attention to your business credit score for your LLC business credit score. So for example, your LLC product suppliers, your LLC banks that you're looking forward to when it comes to loans. You have other businesses that you might want to reach out in terms of services for your LLC. Insurance companies, I just said that. Insurance companies are important. You have landlords also for commercial property leases, okay? So if your LLC is about to sign a commercial property lease, the landlord wants to pay attention to your credit score, okay? And again, and most lenders, though, they do pay attention to your PATRIKIOS. I mean, in some cases they'll pay attention to your IntelliScore Plus I mean your Experian IntelliScore Plus, but they just go with the PATRIKIOS. It's the more renowned, okay, business credit score. And one thing I want to say here, and this is also very important, that if you have a lousy score, if your LLC does have a lousy score, you are actually reducing your chances of having a favorable outcome in whatever transaction you're trying to complete, you're trying to close. You know, whether it is a commercial property lease, or you're trying to like a business line of credit for your LLC, or an LLC business loan, or LLC business credit card. It really depends. But yeah, those are really important. So make sure that your business credit score matters, because other stakeholders are paying attention to it. Okay, very important. So here is the approach I really want you to pay attention to. Now, what does your LLC business credit score really measure? The thing is that when we talk about, because if you're trying to build your LLC business credit score, you need to understand what the score itself measures. Whether we're talking about Experian IntelliScore Plus, or PATRIKIOS, Dun & Bradstreet PATRIKIOS, or the flurry of business credit scores that Equifax does prepare. You need to know what really goes in there. I mean, generally, I mean the metrics, the inputs when it comes to the formula that each agency has, those are different. But overall, you do find the same sort of like 9 or 10 elements in each calculation. So you have your credit utilization ratio. So, you know, business credit reporting agencies are looking at your LLC credit utilization ratio. They are paying attention to your payment history. They are paying attention to the age of your credit history, existing debts, so your existing obligations. So you have to go back and look at your LLC balance sheet to see what you have in terms of your liabilities, okay? And they will look at your LLC company size. So how many employees do you have on payroll? And your LLC industry risk, okay? So basically, well, the thing is that this metric is really important, because I mean, you know, like we are currently in an economy that really fluctuates. You know, this economy is like a yo-yo, whatever. If you are in an economy where you have a yo-yo movement that goes up and down all the time, if your LLC is in an industry that is suffering from economic decline, this could be problematic. So you will find it very hard to build your LLC business credit score. And also the number of recent credit inquiries also will play an important role when it comes to your business credit score. So your business credit score for your LLC will measure all those elements. Okay. Now, but the list here is not exhaustive, but I can tell you for a fact that really this is the most prominent factors that those like the FICO SBSS, Experian IntelliScore Plus, Dun & Bradstreet PATRIKIOS score, and the Equifax credit score actually measure. Okay, so this is what it is. You just have to get used to it, and just make sure that you do your best to clean up most of the elements in those sections, so you're clear about where to go moving forward. Here is a winner for you. I want to share with you a winner strategy. But before I do that, let me just quickly remind you once again of today's conversation. The topic we're actually covering here, we are speaking about how to build your LLC business credit score. Okay, and it's really important to understand that as you're trying to build your LLC business credit score, as you're trying to improve it, as you're trying to add points here and there, as you're trying to move from 80 to 85, or to 90 or to 95, there are a few things you need to do to make sure that along the way you basically are making the right choices. However, you cannot do anything, boss. You can't do anything if you don't have access to your business credit report, which means you need to contact those 3 agencies and ask them to provide you with the business credit reports. Okay, it will cost you something, but it is really worth it, because the thing is that the Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian are not bound by the same laws that are available for consumers. Like if you were thinking about consumers, you can actually request a free copy of your credit reports, not a problem. but for businesses, you have to be able to pay for it. But this is not just it's not a lot of money though. It's not a bank breaking amounts here, okay, or a budget killing amount. We're talking about $40, okay? So you want to contact right now, you want to contact Dun & Bradstreet, you want to contact Equifax, and you want to contact Experian separately, and you want to give them your LLC name, your LLC EIN number, which you should have anyway, and then you want to ask them to normally this thing should be done automatically. Like you go to their website, to those three players, their respective website. If you enter the info I just gave you, you should be able to have access to your credit history, and you need to have that. And from there, this is where the actual work starts. Okay, this is where you can dispute derogatory items, you can dispute erroneous items, you can look at the thing, you really see what lenders are also seeing. Okay, and this is really important, especially if you are trying to build your LLC business credit score over the long run. Then you need to have a long-term strategy too, which means what? It doesn't matter if they actually people are saying that your credit report doesn't look good, quote unquote good, in the short term. You know, you have a long-term vision here. So here are the steps, boss. Here are the steps I really want you to follow. I mean, and I'm not going to give you like a lot of like a very convoluted, comprehensive advice. If you want to improve your business credit score, just try to do two things. Two things for your LLC. First, you want to establish your LLC as its own entity, which you probably have done already. But the thing is that you have the LLC, but is the LLC legit in your state's records? Because sometimes you might be thinking, well, you know, I think I'm an LLC, but when was the last time you filed your annual report? When was the last time you talked to your registered agent? Do you even have a registered agent? Do you know who that is? You know what that means? Okay, so this is the kind of a thing I want you to really think about, because if you're trying to build your LLC business credit score, you need to make sure that your LLC is indeed an LLC. You know, it's just a legit LLC. So if you are a single member LLC, make sure that you have said so in filing the paperwork, that you do have. If you have a multiple member LLC, make sure that you have said so, and make sure that your organizing documents, your formation documents state that. Okay. And you need to have also operating bylaws. If something happens within the LLC, there has to be ways by which you guys actually, like if you have partners in your LLC, you need to have ways whereby you solve the problem. Okay. And you also need to actually look at, so the first thing is to establish your LLC as its own entity. The second thing is you just need to be organized in terms of your finances. Okay, so because your business credit score for your LLC business credit score will go up if your LLC is well run, financially speaking, right? Everything from paying bills on time, everything from making sure that you actually paying bills on time, and making sure that you are basically honoring every bill that you have, including net 30 vendors. Okay, this is really important, because this is what's gonna help you get to the level where you can build credit history very strongly and very sustainably. Because it's not just about like having one weekend or having doing things like that. It's funny. Sometimes people tell you, hey, you can actually raise your business credit score in 30 days, and it's just really, really funny, because those are lies. You're not going to build your LLC business credit score in 30 days. No, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it in 3 months. No. You're not going to do it in 6 months. No, it is a process. You might get there in 1 year, but it is a process. It's very important to remember that it is a process. You're not going to, don't actually look for short terms or shortcuts. Okay, they're not worth it. I want to talk to you about other things you can do if you are trying to build your LLC business credit score. You got to be in a situation where you pay your LLC business debts on time, and this is one of those things that is just so important that a lot of LLC businesses, they always fail to understand. It's not about the amount of the bill; it's about the principle. What I'm trying to say here is that if you have a bill for your business cell phone and the bill is only $30, if it says pay within 30 days or pay by the due date, but then pay for it. Because if you don't pay that one bill on time, you are jeopardizing, you're decimating your business credit score. Again, it's not just about the quantity; it's about the quality also. It's about the constance of your action. It's about the discipline. Okay, so you need to stay on top of your company's bills. Okay, make sure that you are paying the amount owed toward loans, lines of credit, supplier invoices, and other forms of business debt every single month. And so consider paying your bills earlier than they are actually due. So only early payers qualify for a perfect paydesk score of 100. So this is really important for you to think about that. And you also need to limit how much debt you carry. So this is where we are talking about making sure that your debt obligations, your obligations on your balance sheet are really limited. Okay, so the amount of available credit you use matters in the calculation of your score. So whenever possible, aim to use less than 25% of your business credit limits. Okay, and if you are already tapping into a large percentage of your available credit limits, please please stop. Don't spend more, because potential lenders may worry that your LLC is currently overextended and likely to default on future loans. Okay, so again, they're not actually saying it will happen, but based on experience and based on past events, those are what lenders will be thinking about. So this is why you never want to give the impression that you are overextended. You never want to give the impression that you might be scraping by already, or will be fine very soon. But yeah, it is what it is. So those are things you need to think about so that you don't actually get denied. Another thing I want you to do here, if you are trying to build your LLC business credit score real fast, don't avoid credit entirely. I mean, it's kind of funny that we have business clients who tell you, you know what, I'm going to finance my business with our own funds. So with equity, like the money we generate from the LLC operations, we're just going to put it right back into the business. This is cool. There's nothing wrong with that. However, sometimes you need to have credit. You need to have extra cash to actually finance better opportunities faster. And so what if you don't have the money for it? Then you need to think about credit. Okay, credit will help you, and it's not always easy for someone to actually, for an entrepreneur to get equity investors. Okay, so those are things I really want you to think about. And the last thing I want you to do here is this sort of goes back to what I said earlier. You need to check your 4 business credit reports. You need to check your paydesk score or your paydesk reports. You need to check your Intellis score, your Experian Intellis score reports. You need to check your Equifax reports. You need to check also your FICO SBSS reports. So this way you have the ability. You know exactly which is what, and you know what constitutes, like, what's really dragging your score to the bottom. Okay, so because when you check all your business credit reports, you can see whether or not the scores are, how do I call it, if the scores are consistent across the board. In other words, because if there is a delta, if one score says this and another score says this, then you will see that this could be problematic, right? And you don't want that anyway. But if it happens, then it's good, because it gives you an opportunity to fix a problem. And it's better to fix problems like when they just arise, instead of happening like a few months down the road. So overall, this is just fantastic. And one thing I also want to say here is that when we talk about not avoiding credit entirely, I'm not saying you should go and just borrow. I'm just saying that you need to actually show potential lenders that you have a history of solid financial management. And that means using enough credit to get noticed, but not overwhelmed. Okay, so this is really what you need to think about. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about how to build your LLC business credit score. And so I gave you the overview. I gave you a few pro tips. I gave you the approach you need to have. I gave you a winner strategy, the steps you need to follow, and the recap. Thank you. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.